So I'm here to talk about turning our biggest challenges into our biggest opportunities. And I once learned that the best presentation comes with one story and one point. So I'm going to try to tell you a little bit of a story based on my own experience. And you might be able to tell where this is going by my t-shirt. And then I'll try to make a point. So let me set the stage a little bit. This story starts in the years 2007 to 2009 with a little precursor of 2006. So what was happening during that time? Well, January 1, 2007 happened to be a Monday. The reason I know it's a Monday is because Tuesday of that week, Team Detroit opened its doors. And Team Detroit was a creation that WPP created in order to help Ford evolve into its next iteration. And it was a combination of all of the agencies you see listed on the screen: JWT, Y&R, Ogilvy, MEC, Mindshare, and Wonderman. And I know this because that Friday, I started as head of digital media operations for Team Detroit. It was a new position. And it was both new for me and new for the agency. And so it was an interesting time for this time period. And the challenge of taking 6 agencies with 6 different cultures and putting those agencies together for the purpose of creating one amazing team for Ford was certainly no small challenge. And at times, it felt like a good reality show. And I often thought we should have filmed while we were creating the organization. So that's what happened in 2006 and 2007, I should say, in the beginning. Now, what was happening during that time? That time period was riddled with, we now know, was a recession. And the recession was putting huge pressure on the economy overall, the housing economy, the financial structures, and the automotive industry was certainly, at least for those people in Detroit and I know elsewhere, an epicenter of the discussions during that time period for the economy. So it was causing huge pressure for Ford and huge pressure then for the agency, Team Detroit, and how we were going to solve the challenges ahead during this amazingly complicated and stressful time period. And so what else was going on during that time period? Well, Facebook opened its doors to the public in 2006. We at Team Detroit in 2007 were having significant conversations around social as Facebook was starting to grow, certainly both with our client and internally at our own agency. We had no social strategy, no one did. So it was a huge challenge at that time, also a huge opportunity. Also at that time, if you recall, if you were in business at that time, the videos on YouTube were growing exponentially, and so were the users and the people consuming that content. Again, we didn't really have a video strategy in the beginning, and no one did in the industry. There weren't really any sort of major folks to follow. And then also during that same period, both the iPhone and the Android launched. And that also put significant pressure and opportunity on the business. We actually did have a very strong mobile strategist, but as we all know now, it was too soon for mobile in a way. And so all of these things were happening around this time period. Significant economic pressure on our clients associated with the agency. We created a new agency at this time. And so there were very, very huge challenges with this. And during that time, though, when you have such significant pressure and therefore significant opportunity, we did some really amazing things. And 2 I just want to highlight here for your viewing is 1, during this time period, actually during the 2007 to 2008, 2009 periods, we made our first metric for web video gross rating points. It wasn't an industry standard at all. It was something that we created ourselves at Mindshare Team Detroit in order to help talk about and justify the significant and extreme pressure that we had on both growing digital during an economic recession, while maintaining the exposure and the agreements that we had in the TV marketplace. We owned American Idol as an asset, for example, by the way. And so this was a big move for us internally. For us, it wasn't the only thing that helped us understand how to grow our budgets. It wasn't something we were looking to have the industry align with, but it was something that we were using internally to help us discover and understand the math, you see, because Ford wanted us to spend at least 25% of our marketing dollars on digital and social media, at the same time while maintaining the quality and the reach and frequencies with our TV dollars, which was a huge undertaking. And so also during this time, you may or may not, if you don't, you should read it, have seen we launched the Ford Fiesta in the US. It was in Europe, and we launched it in the US with a social media-led campaign, which is the first of its kind, by the way. And if you haven't read this case study, it's actually at Harvard. It's a Harvard case study, but it's also a case study at many other schools. And this was a case where we took 100 agents and we brought them out into the marketplace and had them talk about the vehicle and their use case of the vehicle, et cetera. And these things actually paved the way very early for what we now know are some of the methodologies that we've used to grow our own marketplace over the time period. So why am I telling you about this thing that happened, how many years ago relative to what's going on today? Well, you might be shocked to think, but there's some things that are going on that are not too dissimilar today than in 2007 to 2010. There is a significant amount of distrust in the marketplace that's happening. And when we have distrust, it actually creates economic uncertainty. Certainly on Wall Street, you see with Wells Fargo and other companies, but Wells Fargo is getting the lion's share of the press right now related to the distrust in the financial ecosystem. And even in the political election, which we all know, if you don't know about it, you haven't been in this country or anywhere on the planet, that distrust is at the center of the argument. And even now, fact-checking is distrusted. So there's just a huge issue in the news overall related to this concept of distrust. And then, of course, it goes without saying that we've talked about that there's an issue or a challenge and continues to be a challenge with trust in advertising, and that's not news for us. So that actually creates this era or environment of economic uncertainty. And when there's economic uncertainty, it causes extreme pressure on our clients. So these are huge challenges that we certainly have to face over and above some of the things that we were talking about today. And I'd say that I put these things in the kind of opportunity quadrant. So whether it's the exponential growth of technology and investments that has slowed down a bit but continues to grow, or the data deluge, or the consumer trends, none of which, or very few of which, have anything to do with what our agencies are set up to do today, but this is actually how consumers are going to interact with devices of the future. And then this whole era of artificial intelligence, which I propose none of us have robust enough systems to actually handle as an ongoing, purposeful, scalable way we do business together. That complicated with the fact that although programmatic, I believe, has risen to a really solid place and has grown very well, we still have a lack of creative automation in the programmatic ecosystem. And by the way, if you haven't seen the news, the IAB has created dynamic content, or dynamic creative guidelines. They came out on Friday. I was the co-chair. You'd think I'd know the title of what the guidelines are. And so if you haven't seen those, you should definitely check those out, because what we're trying to do is automate the creative side of the house. I'm not trying to be prescriptive on creativity. I'm trying to be prescriptive on the categorization of creativity and the metadata. So that continues to be a challenge. It continues to be a challenge in terms of measurement of emerging platforms. And as we know, I just showed you the whole bottom row of opportunities, our emerging platforms, will continue to be challenged with the measurement of those platforms as we move forward. And of course, for us, a big conversation at GroupM is talking about data symmetry and asymmetry, and the fact that we have some huge challenges related to walled gardens and what's the single source of truth. So there's a lot of similarities between what happened between 2007 and 2010 and today. And some of the things that we were able to do, create new measurement schemas, create new ways of launching products, happened because of the tension between the challenge and the opportunities. So I'm here to address very specifically, what we did about it. But first, I wanted to highlight last year during the challenge session, and there's a board right there, the big thing on people's minds were staying cutting edge. If you can't afford to have kind of a tech operations or caregiver in-house or capabilities, keeping up with the technology, the speed of innovation, integrating new forms of media. And I highlighted with little light bulbs, if you can't tell what those yellow dots are, a lot of those same themes came through this year's mind mapping. And so we continue to be perplexed with this kind of crazy landscape, the crazy exponential growth. We need to innovate our own business, by the way, models to address the exponential growth of this technology. So we must attend that. Nothing has changed too much from last year, I guess I could say. So the major point that I'm here to talk to you about is whether it was 2007 to 2010 or this year, this economic year, 2016 and maybe into 2017 and beyond, we really cannot solve these problems with the same thinking we used to create them. We really can't continue to do the same things the same way. You're living and working in an organization that will continue to perpetrate the exact challenges you are feeling unless you fundamentally change the model and change the method and change the how. So it's an incredibly important point. So I actually propose that our biggest challenge today is, above all, any of the things that I talked about in 2007 to 2010, or the challenges that I spoke about in 2016, or the challenges that are up on our board. The biggest challenge we have is doing more with the same or fewer resources, and actually not having a purposeful system to handle that specific challenge. And what do I mean by a purposeful system? I actually mean a purposeful people, process, and tools to address doing more with the same or fewer resources. Not having a purposeful system in your organization to address that will cause your organization to be a relic and actually to fail. And so what can you do about it? Well, here's some of the things that we did certainly in 2007 to 2010, and certainly a lot of the things that we're doing now in our own organization. And number one, and almost the most important thing, is subscribe to a higher purpose. Now, for those living in Detroit, I still actually live in Detroit, the higher purpose was my house value was going in the tank. And everybody was aligned on one thing: saving Ford, saving the automotive industry, saving our city, period. And so that higher purpose was so incredibly powerful. When we created purposeful systems, people, process, and tools in order to get stuff done, people aligned, and they did it. And they did it specifically and consistently. But in your organizations today, maybe you don't feel that pressure. Maybe you don't subscribe to all the things I just showed you on the slide today. Hopefully you do. You better come up with a schema that helps you subscribe to a higher purpose in your organization. Otherwise, the rest of it doesn't matter. If you don't have a rally cry where people get it and agree to it, you're never going to make any change, number one. Number two, assess the resources you have. We spoke about talent yesterday, and a lot of people were nodding that says we have amazing resources in our organization, but what if we actually, instead of training them, in addition to training them on the day-to-day, we actually rethink how to use those resources. Brainstorm a bit purposely about how to leverage those resources, and of course you have to be honest with yourself and say, I may not have the right resources. I'm a huge believer in knowledge management, and if you're going to have a knowledge management system, hire a librarian, period. Because that's what they do. Don't hire a media person or a creative person or a whatever person to do knowledge management. Hire a person who does that. So develop a framework, like I said, that actually addresses people, process, and tools in order to get this done. Be consistent about it. Assign it to a person or people. I'm an advocate of a person instead of the group leadership method. And be consistently purpose-driven and aligned about this. Don't waver. It's incredibly important, no matter what you think your organization stands for, to stand a little bit taller, to be a little more rigorous about what your rally cry is, and be very purpose-driven about that. Go in every morning to your organization and say, what is my biggest challenge, and how do I turn that into my biggest opportunity for our business? Did I miss anything? Perfect.